Hey there guys, I'm your host the Brit Pirate, and today I want to talk about what is the kill count of Kakariko Village. As everybody knows who's played Twilight Princess, Kakariko Village gets it way worse than everywhere else in Hyrule when it comes to the invasion of the Twilight, because the population goes from this booming tourist town to a population of only 3 original residents. Now, a lot of other people joined the village eventually, such as the Gorons and the children from Ordon, but I'm really curious, what was the population before the attack happened? What was the population of Kakariko before everyone died? And the way we're going to do it is kind of rapid fire, so without further ado, let's begin. For starters, there are 3 survivors in Kakariko Village. The shaman, his daughter, whom I don't remember the name of, not important, and Barnes Bombs, who is important because I really like the voice he does. These are the first 3 people we're going to be adding to our count. Next up is the general store, now appropriated as Mallow Mart, but originally it was owned by some lady who was mentioned during one of the cutscenes in the invasion of the Twilight, so we can add another person to our population. The third location we got to stop at is the inn. Inside of this place, you can see that there are 2 different counters, which presumably would have been manned at the same time. Otherwise, why would you have 2 counters? One of them is this bar, I think, without any entrance to the stall, which is funny. You can see that there's no way to get in without climbing over the counter. I'm just gonna, yeah, like that. And then there's another stall right here, which would have been used probably for cooking and registering people for the inn to stay for the night. This means it's very reasonable to add 2 more people to the population of Kakariko Village. Next, we gotta check out this random building across the street. And inside of here, you'll see that there's not really that much to investigate. All we have is a messed up bed frame with a couple of planks on it. I suspect that the Bulblins stole anything valuable in here, including the comfortable mattresses that were probably on top of this bed frame. But it's a huge bed frame. It's got 2 humps on it, almost like it's 2 beds pushed together, so I suspect that this was probably at least the home of 2 people. That's a bit of conjecture, but you know, we're working with a lot of conjecture today, right, Link? You're completely useless, Link. Now, beside this first house, there are also 2 others. Unfortunately, they are all boarded up, so it's not possible to go inside and investigate them. But I also wonder, should we? Think about it. These houses have planks on the outside of them. If I were somebody trying to stay safe from the, shadow beings that are coming into town, why would I put boards on the outside of my house? I would put them on the inside so that they can't be torn off, and so that me on the inside would be safe. But instead, they're on the outside. This implies that whoever was living in both of these houses probably was fleeing the village and did not actually end up dying. Then again, that still means they were originally a part of the population of Kakariko. So, you know what? I'm still gonna add them. Each of these houses will add at least 1 person to the original population. Obviously, could be higher, but we don't know. And finally, we have 2 Poe souls, which you can only see at nighttime on the ridge here in Kakariko. The first one is by the watchtower, and the second one is by the old bomb shop that gets destroyed when you start investigating in the Twilight. Now, I want to address the Poes really quickly. A lot of people believe that the Poes are holding their own souls in the lantern, but I don't actually believe this is the case. That is a theory that was purported by the Dark Horse books in the early 2010s. But if you actually take a look at the appearance of the Poes in this game, you'll see that they are holding a scythe. They are basically Grim Reapers collecting souls. And sure enough, the lantern is visible to the human eye, implying that the lantern is holding the soul of a human tied to this earth. And the Poe is separate from it. And then lastly, of course, if I get over close to this guy, you'll see that his chest has a separate soul from the lantern. So that's the reason I add them to the kill count, because I believe that these guys are separate individuals who died and had their souls captured by a Poe recently, which also means that they probably weren't transformed into shadow beasts. They must have just been straight up killed by the shadow beasts, which is kind of a shame. If only somebody could free these guys from their lanterns, and do something to make them move on into the afterlife. If only somebody with wolf senses and a canine attack were capable of helping them. Oh man, if only somebody could do it. which means the possible population of Kakariko Village before the massacre occurred was probably at least 12 people. But is that really accurate? But does that really make a lot of sense? I mean, Ordon Village has a population of 14 people, so why would Kakariko, the booming tourist town, have fewer people? That just doesn't make sense to me. So, I took the liberty of doing a little bit of research. And by that, I mean I counted every single one of the beds that exist in Kakariko Village. The 4 little alcoves in the sanctuary, which I think are beds, the 2 beds that exist in the loft at the shop, the 8 beds that exist in the inn, the 2 beds that we saw in that ran-down house, and then the 1 bed that exists in Barnes' house, which leads us to a total of 17 beds in town. However, that number could be higher if you include the beds in those 2 ran-down houses which we weren't able to enter. If each of those had at least 1 bed in them, then that would bring our total to 19 beds, meaning the population, if every bed was being used, would be 19 before the attack, which is a lot more reasonable, given that this is supposed to be a booming tourist town. Oh, but 2 things I want to mention before we finish off is that at one point there's a cutscene where Colin mentions how a gang of people go in to save the shopkeeper when she's attacked by a shadow beast, but none of them survive. That implies that at least 3 people, because, 2 people is not a gang, 3 people went in to try and save her and died. But I'm not counting that as 3 additional people because those people could have been, I don't know, people living in other houses in the town. I don't think that that's actually evidence that 3 additional people were living in the town. And then the other thing I want to mention is that the ghosts could be technically double counted because there's the very real reality that those Poe souls in the lanterns could be people who lived in these buildings here. And then maybe they just happened to be up on the ridge when the attack happened. Or maybe that's where they ran to and they were fleeing and then they got killed and their souls harvested by the Poes up there. I don't know. But I kind of wanted to boost the number of the population up a little bit, so I think it's reasonable to say that those 2 Poes up there are counting for 2 additional people who would have lived in the town previously. But hey, what do you think? Was that a reasonable conclusion to come to at the end of this video, or was that a completely ridiculous number I came up with? And I should be fired and lose my position as a YouTuber. Yeah. Shut up, Link. Nobody cares. Let me know in the comment section below. And until I see you next time, have fun storming the castle.